you can't defeat someone who has genetics from like the gods. I mean, this guy is not that tall, and he's got crazy wide shoulders. He's got a teeny tiny waist, which accentuates that V taper so greatly. It makes him look 15 pounds bigger than he probably is on stage. And you know, that's not something you can work at in the gym. It's just something that God gave you. And then he obviously put the muscle on, and he's bringing the conditioning to the stage. That's his thing. But he has a genetic gift, and he doesn't have any gaps in his physique.
He's got everything.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. And welcome back to another exciting episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, joined by the technician himself, Chris Aceto, on this Mother's Day 2023. Happy Mother's Day, Chris. Or actually, we're really not that relevant today. This is not our day, right?
Well, we're not relevant in the whole scope of things, but happy Mother's Day, Dave.
Yes.
To your wife and
to your wife as well.
You guys doing anything special?
I think we're gonna go to Grandma's house and bring the kids over there and get something to eat somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, typical. Burn the energy out, right? Every day
gotta go to Grandma's house.
Every day is a strategy, Dave, with kids.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
How to burn the energy out of them.
You're right. It's really, when we wake up in the morning, it's like, how do we? The good thing now is that the pool is open. Like it's warm enough to go in the pool every day, so we could put them in the pool for 3 hours, and they're exhausted when they get out of there. It's like, that's perfect, But by the third hour, my son is like ready to drown the other two. You know what I mean? He's like starting to get like insane. But that's how it works. Yeah, I think that the strategies when raising kids is find as much stuff to do. It's funny, when I first moved here we moved down to Florida. I was telling my wife, when I was a kid, and I've said this before, I went to camp. We were talking about camps last week. She kind of foo-fooed the idea because no one went to camp in Florida when she was growing up down here. Now we're like, she's on this like search for which camp we should send him to. And she understands what I explained to her. My parents said there was no option. Like if I was going to go to camp, there was just like which camp we were going to go to.
Yeah, you just going.
Yeah, well, that same thing. Kids. My son thinks it's like glamorous to sit around the house like watching his iPad all day long every day. But after 1 or 2 days of doing that, he'll be ready to like go nuts. He'll be like disassembling, the studio here where we're doing the recording. He'll be taking cameras apart because he's going to be so bored out of his mind. So
yeah, well, my anyhow, I was just thinking my cousins, my aunt had a house on an island off Maine, and
that's nice.
Oh God, there were 6 kids in the family, and all they did all summer long was roam that island, get out at 7 a.m. and that was their camp.
That was that. See, I would love that. Except nowadays, they would never let kids roam alone on an island, right?
Well, I don't know. You probably, I don't know. It's still very, it's fairly remote. So,
Right. But, with the whole drowning thing, people don't trust kids to do anything anymore. Back then, they were like, all right, go. We'll see you in 12 hours,
They used to take the rowboat out, the small boat with a little motor on the back, to go fishing, go like throw rocks, just, the ultimate camp. No supervision. No supervision.
No supervision, right. Yeah, no supervision whatsoever. Yeah, they just said get back before dark. That was the rule, you know.
Yep. No, my aunt had this giant bell. You could hear it forever. She'd bang. Kids would hear it, and time to come in.
The funny thing was that there was no even cell phones. Like you couldn't even communicate with your parents if you wanted to. That's how trusting everyone was. They're like, okay, we'll see you later. And you know, nowadays, I mean, you can text and this and that, and it's still not enough. We live in this like crazy world of over communication, I guess now. But
no, it's just a different world. There's a lot more to worry about.
Yeah. Well, we had an exciting weekend for a change. The bodybuilding world seems to be heating up, and we've been talking about this for a couple weeks now. The Pittsburgh Pro is a kind of like an annual thing that everyone looks forward to. It started, you know, way back when, before I was around. I remember going to Jim Mannion's show. I think it was back in '96 for the first time, and that show had been going on for way before that. And Jim always had a lot of great pro guest posers there. It was always known for that, even before people recorded it and took pictures of it, because I don't even think people took pictures back in the day. Nowadays, it's like people can't wait to see who's getting up on that stage in Pittsburgh. And this year was pretty much the Olympia lineup minus Hadi Choopan. Ramy was there, Derek Lunsford was there, Labrada was there, Samson Dauda was there, Nick Walker, and you know, people loved it. And you know, the great thing, I'll tell you one thing. I don't know whose idea was it, whether it was Jim Mannion's or Gary Udit, who runs the show for him, but they put the guest posers on first, Chris, which I thought was brilliant. Instead of making these guys hang around all night long waiting to go on, because there was a big show, obviously it was an amateur and pro show, they let these guys go on first. I think they interviewed Chris Bumstead on stage before the guest posers went on. He didn't guest pose, but he was there, and it was great because people got to see all these people, and it wasn't like, all right, I have to wait until I'm ready to blow my brains out and starving.
Sure, they didn't want to make the mistakes the Olympia made, which was, you know, bring the guys, bring the main event on at the very end. They weren't ready to be.
Well, you can do that. You can do that really at a guest posing, because it doesn't matter because these guys are eating. But you know, Jim probably wanted to take these guys out to dinner or something like that, and he didn't want to wait around all night either. So it was a good idea. They got them all on first. We could put up some of the video that I had captured. Little thing here, but who were you the most impressed with? I know who I was the most impressed. Who were you the most impressed with?
Derek Lunsford.
Derek Lunsford.
It's the 2.0 version of Derek Lunsford.
Yeah.
Derek.
Incredible. I thought he was incredible too.
2 years running. 2 years running, except better this year by a lot.
Yeah, you know, Derek, just for those of you who haven't been following this, last year Ramy was supposed to show up as the reigning Mr. Olympia. He didn't show up for whatever reason. We don't know. And they basically, Derek Lunsford was there anyway. And they said, why don't you get up there and take your shirt off? And, you know, he was the reigning 212 Olympia champ. And he got up there, and as we all went crazy because he looked amazing, held his own against all the open guys. And everyone's like, why isn't this guy doing the open? And sure enough, a couple months later, he made the decision. They gave him the invite, and he did the open class, and the rest is history. He placed second, obviously. This year, he came back as the number 2 guy. Hadi Choopan was not here. Obviously, you know, it's hard to get out of Iran, and he probably couldn't get a visa just to come do this guest posing. I'm sure he was invited. And Derek shows up as the number 2 guy, really, but no one was really mentioning him as the number 2. Everyone's like talking about Samson Dauda, who won the Arnold, and Nick Walker, and Ramy, who decided this year to come to the show. And once again, Derek Lunsford steals the show. I think he's probably the most complete bodybuilder in the world right now. What do you say to that statement?
Well, I think everyone was talking about him, not running into the show. Did you? Nobody was talking about him.
Well, I think people were talking about it, but I don't think there was a lot of hype behind him. I mean, I didn't hear people say, "Oh, I can't wait to see Derek Lunsford on stage."
Oh well, I think you know, I see a point. I think that because the irony is the expectation was to see something super, and that's what we got. So it's not like, you know, I mean, he already blew people's minds.
Alan from.
Regardless, you know, he's the roundest bodybuilder around. He's the widest bodybuilder around. He's got arguably the best V taper around. He's got the best quads around. I mean, where do I stop?
No, you're doing good. Keep going.
Well, I mean, it's just he in his condition for God, what month we're in, I don't even know where we are. That's stellar.
Did you notice that a lot of these guys dieted for this? It seemed like for the first time ever, no one showed up out of shape at this.
Yeah, I said that last week. I said, that people would come into the show in condition because they want to leave an impression. It's important to leave an impression in the year 2023 with social media. Impression upon the fans, impression upon the judges. I mean, you can come to the show fat as a pig and still have tons of time to pull it together for the Olympia. But it's important, I think, nowadays to leave an impression of that I'm serious. And I think off-season fat, although there's nothing wrong with being fat in the off-season, it wouldn't leave that lingering stamp that I'm in it to win it come November in Orlando.
It's incredible for his height how wide Derek is. And when we talk about genetics, because we throw that term very loosely around in the show, he's got great genetics. People don't understand. You cannot, and Levroni had that too, and Jay, you can't defeat someone who has genetics from like the gods. I mean, this guy is not that tall, and he's got crazy wide shoulders. He's got a teeny tiny waist, which accentuates that V taper so greatly. It makes him look 15 pounds bigger than he probably is on stage. And that's not something you can work at in the gym. It's just something that God gave you. And then he obviously put the muscle on, and he's bringing the conditioning to the stage. That's his thing. But he has a genetic gift, and he doesn't have any gaps in his physique where, we talk about Ramy's missing the lower lats. We talk about Samson maybe needs a little more width on his back and better connect. Like, we don't say anything about that with Derek. I mean, what's the criticism of Derek now? There is none.
There is no criticism. Bodybuilding fans will find one, but I'm just kidding.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
There's you can't poke a hole in his physique.
No.
And that's part of being a great bodybuilder is just completeness. And he's got the completeness, but he's got just that odd roundness. It's you can be a lot bigger than him on the scale. And I'm sure he's pretty darn big on the scale anyway, but you have to have so much more like a round factor to be able to beat him. His muscles are really, really crazy round. I mean, I think
he's got calves too.
Huh?
He's got calves too.
He's got everything. The shape of the besides the roundness, Dave. He's got flow and shape of a 212-ish type guy, like what I mean, or like or like a classic type guy. He's got a powerhouse physique, but he's got the structure that you'd see on somebody a lot lighter on the scale. You know what I mean? A lot less muscle. Right. Like, we see great physiques a lot of times, and you say, God, if this guy gained like 25, 30 pounds of muscle, he'd be a great open bodybuilder.
Yep.
And that's a compliment to the way everything ties together. He's just
look at this shot. Look at this shot. You could just see structurally how his waist is so small, and he's got the same width as Nick Walker and Labrada, but it's just the way everything flows together. It's just so pretty. Yeah. And I don't know if that's because he's young or
this guest posing created a lot of anxiety for a lot of people. That's the takeaway from this. This prejudging. That's what it was. This prejudging created a lot of anxiety and a lot of angst amongst competitors because you can't justify, like, if he looked like this but was fat, you'd say like, oh, maybe he won't diet down. Maybe he won't be able to get the condition. He's already in good shape. Yeah. Or if he was like rock hard but not this crazy round, as a competitor, you could say, well, he's probably not going to grow much between here and the show.
Right. No, you're right. You're 100% right. I don't. I mean, I don't think he has to really do very much. I think he's just going to come into shape at this point.
God, you know what? Not only did he create angst for competitors, and I'm sure he's already confident, but this is like, when you have a good physique and you're confident, oh my goodness, what you can do with that body. And so, coming after a show like this, it's going to be like, eek, wow.
And he's got youth on his side too, Chris, which doesn't hurt. He's not 38 years old. He's in his prime right now, late 20s, and he's gonna be around a while. And I think that's another thing when these judges look for a Mr. Olympia or a new Mr. Olympia. At least in the experience that we've had during our lifetimes, critiquing bodybuilding, it seems like they like guys that are going to be around a while. I mean, when Phil Heath won, we knew he was going to be around a while. Jay.
Well, we know they're going to be around for a while simply because we throw accolades at them nonstop because you recognize what is a repeat Mr. Olympia when you see it.
Right. When Ramy came out on the scene in 2013 at the New York Pro, when we were sitting, in the audience there, and everyone was like, we thought the next year Ramy would be Mr. Olympia and he was going to be around a long time. It took him a lot of years to win the Mr. Olympia, and probably his best, prime years, he wasn't Mr. Olympia. So by the time he became Mr. Olympia, it was kind of the end of his run. And so now he's not a young bodybuilder anymore. So I think that hurt him. I think if he would have won early on, he probably would have strung up, 6 wins or so,
Well, he probably would have, it ties back into the idea of confidence. I'm not saying Ramy was not confident at all, but when you get one, or it's and you got great genetics, it's easy to put together two. The hardest one is one, right? The hardest thing to do is win the first one.
Yep.
After that, you know what I mean? It changes your mindset, and it changes competitors' mindset. Sometimes it's easier to get two.
What'd you think of Ramy?
I thought that his arms are really hurting him right now.
Is he done? You think we'll see him on the Olympia stage?
I think we'll see him on the Olympia stage. I don't think this. You know what's odd, and you tell me if I'm wrong, and if you said is that did he look, good? I didn't really think so. But the Arnold was just around the corner, and I thought he looked like, round as a house. And here, he wasn't round, so maybe he's not bridging and cruising like everyone else. So that could be one thing. I'm serious. But just erase what you saw here in Pittsburgh and go back to, and erase what you saw at the Olympia. He was impressive at the Arnold. Like he was close to there. He was crazy round. The problem I think at the Arnold was it was a great look. It was the lineup, and he just was almost like too round. Like could have come down further, if that makes sense. But like if you compare like the way Samson, which we'll get to, looked at the Arnold to here, you see like a rebound and even bigger rounder. And if you compare the way Ramy looked here to the Arnold, put pictures up side by side of those two. It's not even the same. Like Samson here, you say, yeah, he's fatter, but he's bigger and rounder.
Right.
He's much rounder. And then, it wasn't long ago, a few weeks ago, he put pictures here of Ramy and then compare and contrast what you saw at the Arnold, which was impressive. Not the same guy. So,
and that Ramy prepared for this guest posing,
I would think so. I would think so, but maybe not. I would think so, but maybe not. I mean, maybe he hasn't trained at all.
I don't know. I don't buy into. I don't think he would have showed up. I don't think he would have showed up in Pittsburgh.
Dave, what I'm saying is, that's conjecture. What's not conjecture is comparing and contrasting the way he looked here to the Arnold. It's not even the same guy.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right.
His arms were big at the Arnold.
Maybe didn't jimmy him up. I don't know.
Call Charles, dude. I got his number on my speed dial. My told you I had the Joe Rita one. I got. Don't worry, Dave. I got
let
it.
me ask you this question. Putting aside how everyone looked. I mean, how he looked here.
Yes.
If you're an advisor, okay, now someone's hiring you as Chris Aceto, the advisor, not the coach, as the advisor, and Ramy says, "Hey, Chris, you know, as my, you think I should you do the Olympia? What do you say?"
I would pause like I just did, and I would say yes, because you only have, at that age, you only have that window is closing quickly. And I'll tell you this: what I saw at the Arnold, I would say absolutely do it. What I saw here, I'd say don't do it. So I'm on the fence. And what's the deciding factor to get off the fence is not what I saw here and what I saw at the Arnold, but it's like time. You're not a Dexter, you're not a Kamal who can keep going. No one is, right? Nobody is. Phil wasn't even a Dexter or a Kamal. Like, he tried to come back and it was like nothing.
Yeah.
Not nothing, but it wasn't the Phil that we're used to. So you might only have this one time. And what I saw here, the answer is no. What I saw at the Arnold, yes. It's weird. I saw at the Olympia, no. But I saw at the Olympia, no. Because after the Olympia, when he ran into the Arnold, I thought, God, what a bad decision. But I thought he, like a lot of people, that he looked great.
He looked really good at the Arnold, yeah, but not good enough to win, unfortunately. And you know what the problem is? I feel like I'm watching a Nasser El Somebody as his career kind of tapered down at the end. He still was good the last couple of years, but then he started, going downhill. Like, he had some problems with, his weird delts, and his arms started getting a little smaller too. And maybe, it's the curse of the big guy. The body just doesn't hold up as well as the smaller guys. But I feel like that's what we're watching with Ramy.
Could be curse of the mummy, the Egyptian mummy. Who knows? They're both Egyptian, both mass monsters. Once you hit a certain age, but
I mean, because if Ramy really loves competing, I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing like the New York Pro, or shows. Like, maybe he should just, not do the Olympia anymore. I don't know, or do it, but do some other shows if he just likes competing and wants to, stay in the game. I mean, Tamir was Mr. Olympia, and then he did other shows. He didn't just do the Olympia, later in his career. So I mean, because you can't tell a person, hey, stop competing because or you already won 2 Olympias. If the person likes doing it, let him do it. But maybe he should go for some of these other shows and get a couple more titles under his belt before he, calls it quits, if he really enjoys the whole process,
Yeah, it's when it's like saying, we won, maybe Tom Brady should, go into the junior league for just 1 year. He's
but Brady
older.
was still playing at the top level, though. Brady was still,
that's my whole point. That's my whole point. 8-10 weeks ago at the Arnold, Ramy was like the biggest guy on stage. Here he's not at all.
But he was the biggest guy on stage, but he only placed 4th, right?
I know, but you know what? He was close technically. He was like close enough to like. I think if he had 5 more weeks of prep or 3 more weeks of prep, he might have been there.
Yeah.
Where here, it's like you take a look back and you say, okay, that's not anything that I saw at the Arnold.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Who else was really impressive, and you brought it up too? Hunter Labrada looked really good here. Yeah,
Hunter looked good. Yeah.
He had the level of fullness, and his conditioning was pretty damn good. For I know he's probably dieting now because he's probably going to be competing in the summer, but this is like a good look for him. I think what this is illustrating is that Hunter with more muscle on his body is very dangerous. And it's not that he's dieting off the muscle. I think he just hasn't really got all the muscle that he needs. And I think if he keeps improving every year, I think he's going to be up there in that top group like we originally, talked about. But he looks better, bigger, I feel, and rounder.
Yeah, I mean, most people look better, bigger, rounder, right? But
and not everyone. He still looks lean here. That's the difference, is what I'm saying.
Well, everybody. How about this? Everyone likes to be bigger and rounder.
That's right. Right. Is he making a mistake with his contest prep? You think is something going wrong? Because it seems like he has some peaking issues.
I don't think he's ever peaked.
No.
I mean, it's hard for a bodybuilder to like nail their peak every single show, but we know when people have peaked, when we say like, oh, you got to look like you did it, that, Arizona show, or you got to look like you did it that New York Pro the second year you did it. But there's no look that you can look back on and say like, you got to look like that.
No. Because when he placed fourth at the Olympia, he was too smooth. Everyone said it. It was almost like they gave him, a little bit of a gift.
I think he's almost as hard here.
I think he might be harder here than when he plays fourth. I got news for you. Glutes and hamstrings look pretty good.
Yeah. Well, some bodies are, there are some bodies that you can bring them right up to the toll booth, but they can't pay the toll. In other words, the body just can't, no matter, there are some that they just can't get to like that finished look. Their body fights it so much, and they get with this coach A, and this coach B, and this coach C, and the coach says, "Oh, it's the carb up process. Oh, it's the sodium. Oh, it's you gotta be ready 4 weeks out, or you got just wait to the last minute and drop water pills." And right. A lot of time, not sometimes, the exception might be his physique is that it's hard to get it right, sharp and full like the last 4 weeks.
I think. And this goes back to, and no one wants to hear this, Chris, right? You don't have enough muscle. I mean, he's just not there yet. He's close. He's not there yet where he has enough mass where he can bring himself down the way Dorian did. See, people don't understand. Dorian was enormous in the offseason, and he would bring himself down to get that grainy conditioning, probably 8 pounds lighter than he probably needed to be. But it was so impressive in person how freaky hard he was. And I think if Labrada, that was the calling card of his dad. His dad was the smallest guy on stage, but he was so polished and separated that it was impressive. Labrada's got to bring his physique down to that type of conditioning. The problem is if he doesn't have enough muscle, okay, and he does that, it looks great, but he gets beat by these guys that are like, freaks in the lineup. So as he keeps adding more muscle, I think he's going to hit a point where he can now bring himself down to that level of conditioning and separation that will show off his beautiful structure and his lines, but he'll still be big enough to stand with the best guys in the world.
Yeah. Well, he's capable. The tools are there. The stuff is there.
Yeah.
Just a matter of, getting that end product. I think he's got enough muscle. I think he's big. Is he the hugest guy on stage? No, but is he big? Yes. So
I think he's made a lot of improvements since last year is what I'm saying. I think he's really added some good muscle. He looks like he added about 8 or 10 pounds.
Yeah. And going back to Dorian used to come down to, 260, high 250s from, decent shape, 290.
And you can afford to do that when you have that much muscle. You can't afford to do that when you're borderline enough muscle is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
What do you think of Nick Walker?
I thought Nick looked good. I think Nick has got a stage body and a gym body. He's got a stage body for competition, meaning he looks great at contests. He looks great in the gym, but like in a guest posing spot like this, when he's not at his heaviest, where he's totally wacky looking, like in gym pictures off season, or when he's not in like which he gets in dialed contest condition, it's easy to discount him. I think there's probably a lot more genuine muscle here than shows up in the video. In other words, did he look good on the video? He looked okay. Was he impressive? Yeah, sort of. But I think you can't. The idea that you can judge his type of physique on a guest posing spot is a lot different than like the way he shows up at shows and will show up at the Olympia, if that makes sense. Because all his impressiveness gets magnified when he comes in super hard.
Grainy, yeah.
Yes, and that's right. You got it. He comes in grainy, and a lot of people can't get that graininess. So his graininess, the day of the show, makes his physique look double what you're seeing here. Whereas somebody else, if they get grainy, you're like, well, they're not really that big. So they end up, it's impressive, but not as impressive on, the total package, like on his physique, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no,
So
it makes sense.
I wasn't that like impressed in the video, but I think that.
Yeah, he's pretty big here, though. He looks big. I mean,
Yeah, he's big. So that's what I mean. If you have a good eye, you can tell he's really big, but it doesn't really show up like when those comparisons, when they have that little comparison, everyone, I think like, you can't really tell how big he is.
No. And then Derek stepped up on him too on the stage.
What's that?
Derek stepped up and pulled the old flex wheeler trick, stepped up on the stage. So you kind of get like, you don't really get a true I guess, view of what's going on. Let me see if I can pull this picture up here. Hold on, let me show you this picture. Like, here's a really good side chest shot. These guys. Like, Derek's a little ahead of him, so he almost looks bigger than Nick, but he's really not, He just stepped up to, closer to the audience on this shot. Let me see if I can blow it up a little bit. Hold on. There we go.
Yeah.
But he's big. And you know what? Nick's forte is going to be making a shitload of money in this sport. And there ain't nothing wrong with that, Chris. He may never win the Olympia. I know he wants to win the Olympia, and he may never win the Olympia. It doesn't even matter. He's going to make a shitload of money in this sport because he's personable. He's a freak. Okay. He's always in shape. He's going to be the kind of guy that's going to do multiple shows a year, which is going to keep the fans excited. And I think he's young enough that he's going to be around for a while. I think if he's smart and plays his cards right and understands this is a sport where you're a professional athlete trying to make a living for yourself. Don't worry about winning one title. Doesn't matter. Make money, be popular, and then when you retire, you will still be making money because of how popular you are. And that's something that not a lot of guys have.
Dave, you're talking as a 55-year-old man. Yes, that's
giving
true.
him advice.
Yes, it is good advice, but at the same time, all he wants to do is win the Olympia.
I understand that, but there's only one guy that wins the Olympia per generation, maybe two.
I know, but if you take your mentality off winning the Olympia, you can't even make that.
You have to train to win the Olympia. Of course you do, Chris. But I'm saying that I think Nick, of all the guys in that lineup, has the most money-making potential. Now, if Derek Lunsford wins the Olympia and he wins, whatever, $400,000 or whatever it is, that's a lot of money. I understand that. But I think that Nick could make a lot of money in the sport no matter what happens on that Olympia stage. Right. And he should use the Arnold to make a lot of money too, because the Arnold is giving away a crap load of money now. I would be doing that show every year if I were him, like Jay did until Jay hit a point where he felt that he could take out Ronnie, but Jay won 3 Arnolds. I mean, that was a lot of money back then. Jay won. I mean, that was a smart, move on his part. I think he won a couple Hummers too there, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he won 3 Hummers.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So, Jay probably made, forgetting all his financial investments and all the other, businesses he had. He made a lot of money from bodybuilding, just because of how popular he was. And I would say Nick Walker is as popular as Jay Cutler was back in the day.
Yeah, and they're all 20% as popular as Chris Bumstead.
That's right. Chris Bumstead shows up in Pittsburgh. He doesn't even have to pose. He just showed up.
Yeah,
he was mobbed. But
Chris said he didn't on an Instagram post, Dave, that he hated Fiber Lies, and I heard you sold $1 million extra worth a week. Just that he mentioned the name. People went and searched it.
Yeah. He could disparage your product and you still sell product.
Yeah, it was good for you.
Yeah, that's right. Every time we make fun of Milos's insulin protocol, he gets 25 more clients. But hey, look, the show it's an exciting show. The fact that so many people can be in one place, for one weekend, and it's not like, man, they don't hold an expo there. They don't have like a big it's not like a big event in terms of going and hey, we're gonna hang out at the Arnold Expo. it's just people going to the show to see all these guest posers and hanging out, and it's a fun weekend. I miss going to. I used to like to go to that Pittsburgh show every year, and it's obviously now with kids it's harder to get out there. But I implore you, if you want to see a really fun weekend, it is pretty cool to go out there and check out that massive guest, because all these guys are in really good moods, because they're all like off season, or they're not really dieting that hard, and they talk to the fans and hang out. You go to the Olympia or go to the Arnold and try to talk to these guys, no one wants it. They have very limited attention span because of the fact that they're miserable from dieting. So you want to really meet bodybuilders and talk to them in a much more relaxed setting. Going to a guest posing where they're at is great. And this is a great show because you have so many top guys in one place. I mean, where else could you really have any interaction with Ramy? Ramy's nowhere, right? I mean, he goes to the Olympia every year. That's it.
Yeah. You forgot the reigning Arnold Classic champion.
I'm not.
Oh, you are.
I'm not done. We're not done here. Come on, we got more analysis to do. But let's talk about who Bob Ciccarello calls the number one contender, the Samson Dauda, who won the Arnold. What'd you think of it? Were you impressed?
Very.
What'd you like? What didn't you like?
I like everything except the back shots, which are good, but front double is very good. The side shots are phenomenal. Legs are phenomenal. I didn't think he looked that great in the video. I mean, he looked very good in the video, but if you scroll and scroll and scroll on the NPC News, you can see he's on the end, which he was ironically at the Olympia in the first call out. He's on the end of the comparisons, and you can see that he is a bigger guy than other people. I think he compares well to actually Derek on side chest, side tricep, most muscular, front double bicep. He's big, and he's big.
I think what unlike the other guys who seem like they dieted and prepared for this guest posing, Samson is in off-season mode. You can see that he's growing. He's definitely a lot bigger than he was at the Arnold. You can see he had a very good rebound. He's full. He's round. This is Samson off-season. People don't realize he's pretty lean here for a guy who's not dieting. You know, he's probably eating a massive amount of food right now. I'm sure Milos has got him eating a ton of food. And you know what? He still looks good because he's got nice shape and structure. He's like a Tony Freeman. He flows. It doesn't matter how big they are. They could weigh 380 pounds. They'll still look good because structurally they have a good structure. So I wasn't really judging him. I could tell he wasn't dieting for this thing. I think he's added a lot of mass, and I think he's put mass on his back. His lat spread is better than it was at the Arnold. And I think he's going to be a very, very, very dangerous guy at the Olympia. You know,
I'll say it again, Dave. If you go back and look at pictures of everyone on the stage from 3 years ago to today, the person who doesn't look like his own self is Samson. So the trajectory of improvements, you know, we have a few months, whatever it is, 6 months to the Olympia, but you know, the rate at which he's changing is quick, fast.
He's dwarfing Ramy. Look at that. He's dwarfing Ramy there.
Dwarfing.
That's hard to do.
The pec fullness, the shoulder fullness, the hamstrings from the side, the arms. I mean, I got news, Dave. Is you go all the way to the right, you can see Nick.
All right, hold on.
Shoulders, arms, and that's calling card for Nick. He's full of the shoulders and arms and pecs. There you go, and hamstrings.
Yeah.
That's saying something.
He's the biggest guy on stage. And this comparison shows it because you can see Ramy is always the biggest guy. And Samson, even though he's all the way to the left, no one really noticed him. He's the biggest guy. He's just not conditioning-wise as good as some of these other guys. But it doesn't matter because he's 6 months out from the Olympia. So,
yeah, I think he's in great condition for that size.
He holds the weight well. He holds the weight well. He's not ripped by any means, but he holds the weight well.
I think he's in like the dark compared to like he's in dead lighting there compared
You're
to.
Right. The lighting on the stage was not good. That was absolutely 100% right on that, Chris. Let's see if I can pull up another picture. Hold on. They don't have the best lighting in that theater, fortunately. But let's see if we can pull a back picture up here. If we can.
Yeah, well, that's his. He looked pretty good in the back, but that is his weakness. Back to.
I think his back came up, Chris. I really do.
Yeah, it has. It came up for the Arnold. It's come up since the Arnold.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's pull this little picture up here. There's the back double.
Yeah.
He's big.
Yeah.
Look at his hamstrings and glutes and quads from behind. And Rami's got.
I understand why you said in shape. I think he's in tremendous. He's in as good shape, if not better than Nick.
Yeah. I think he's. I mean, it's hard to tell. He's not as.
You can see it, even if they're in the same shape. He's not even under a light bulb, for God's sakes.
You're right. You're right. He is standing in the dark, essentially, Chris.
And this
right.
keep that picture up, Dave.
Yeah.
So this is my point with Ramy is Ramy was a lot bigger than Samson at the Arnold.
Yeah.
And now he's like half the size of he was at the Arnold comparatively.
I think Samson, and I'm not just saying this. I think Samson's at least 325 pounds here. He's tall, Chris. He's got to be over 320. I'm telling you. And Ramy is probably the same weight, I would imagine. And Samson is proportioned better than Ramy, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's taller than Ramy, which Ramy's kind of tall. I mean, he's not like sick. He's probably 5'11", which is pretty tall for a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And Samson tower, at least a couple inches over him. Look, if Samson dials it in and brings Ronnie Coleman conditioning, I think, we talk about Derek Lunsford winning this Olympia, which I think he will, but I don't think anyone will. I think Samson will walk away with it if he can bring that level of conditioning. I don't know if he can or not.
Yeah. Well, this year we're doing the RX muscle. We're betting on the Olympia. We're gonna bet Cayman Islands so we don't go to jail.
We got Jimmy the Greek. We brought him back.
So we're gonna handicap and take bets. I told you we should give some type of award for the person who gets 1 through 10 perfectly right.
I mean, if you can do that in bodybuilding, you're a genius.
I would love, Dave. Can you imagine if somebody out there, anyone, got last year's Olympia perfectly right, 1st through 10th? We'd have to bring them on the show and anoint them as the king of bodybuilding, and then have to listen to why they had, well, I knew Ramy was not going to repeat, and I knew Hadi was going to win, and
you get 1 through 10 right. To me, has an inside line on something we don't have a line on. That's for sure.
No, it'd be like total. It'd be total luck, right? It's like winning the lottery.
Or the fix is in, or you knew something that we didn't know. That's all. But no, it's very hard. The reason why it's hard to predict bodybuilding is because no one ever shows up the way you think they're going to show up. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Even the most seasoned competitors have off days. Things go wrong. They get sick. They get food poisoning.
Took the words right out of my mouth. How many people have you, let's say, prepped, and 3 weeks out they Dave, I'm sick, and you're like, what do you mean I'm sick? Oh, I got strep throat, or I got diarrhea, or I got the virus, I got this, that, and they don't show up the way you expected.
Yeah.
Injuries, nagging injuries, 4 weeks out, never had an injury in their life, shoulder hurts.
It's like no one's immune either. It can happen to anyone, really. So many people, the day of the show, the day before the show, they got like a stomach virus. It's like, how could it happen the day before a show? It happens all the time. You have competitors that have gone to the hospital, and with food poisoning and stuff like that, or so what they thought was food poisoning was probably a virus. I think a lot of guys, when you run your body down really low and you're dehydrated and you're sitting in a hotel room, which is probably not as clean as you think it is, guys get sick. You get sick because your immune system is suppressed. And sometimes the longer you're in these hotel rooms, the more likely you are to get sick. So that's why I never really like to stay in hotels too long. But it's possible. It happens. Someone sent me this. Our good friend Ralph Torelli, and I know a few people have commented on this. We have a new client for you. We want you to take on. Have you seen this guy on Instagram? His name is, they call him Mr. Wad.
No.
All right, I'm gonna pull it up. He's I think he's from Africa. His name is Style Up Africa, and they call him Mr. Wad. I don't know why they call him Mr. Wad, but here's the guy. He says he's 100% natural, and he lives like in like these mud things, and he does all these crazy workouts. He's got limited weights, and the guy's got great genetics. He could be the next Samson Dauda right here. So Ralph said we should get Chris Aceto to train him.
Where's his physique?
What?
Where is his physique?
He's got a physique. Hold on a second. I'm trying to find the workout pictures. There we go. He could probably win the men's physique Olympia right now. No gymming of those arms.
What division?
Well,
he looks like he's getting ready to hit. Looks like he was getting ready to hit a men's physique pose there before he did the chin.
Yeah,
like
yeah. Well, I think he can win men's physique now, but I think he's got legs too, though. The amazing thing is that he has limited equipment, right? And he's in obviously, but he's got a very good camera, and he's got internet connections, so he can't be too many.
I don't know if we how plausible it, right? It might be like those guys who dig those dig
the things. Yeah. He might go to Gold Gym around the corner. Yeah,
my kids watch that all the time.
Yeah. He might have a Gold Gym around the corner.
They really bring in a backhoe and like special tools.
Although I think
we'll find out like the Liver King. We'll find out like he's the Liver King and he's on 4 sessions on a week.
Right.
When he's got 10 million views a day, so he's monetizing YouTube. I mean, I don't believe anything.
Yeah, he's got almost 1 million followers, Chris, here on Instagram.
Well, there you go. I just predicted it, right? I said 10 million to be exaggerating. So
833,000 followers. He coaches people too.
Oh, he's coaching people. Yeah, I'm sure he lives in the hut there. Yeah, he lives in the hut. No electricity. He's probably got a staff of 10.
Yeah.
4 sessions on a week.
I don't know if you remember. Remember when
he's Africa's Liver King.
Yeah. You remember when you referenced the Kai Green video I did? I think it was last week's show, maybe the week before. How I went back when he was living in the projects. Well, everyone loved that video so much that when Generation Iron wanted to make a video about Kai, they made him go back. Kai wasn't living in the projects anymore. He had his own house, but he still had that apartment. I think he was renting it out or something like that. And they made him go back there to pretend that he still lived there, just for the sake of the whole.
Nothing's real anymore.
So you can't capture authenticity. You have to see the authenticity. You can tell when people are acting. Talking about authenticity, I'll tell you one thing that you really like. On Apple TV, they have a documentary I'm watching. Called it's about Michael J. Fox and the whole Parkinson's thing he's been dealing with since his early 20s. And how he hid it for many years, and great show. If you like Michael J. Fox, and the guy is unbelievable. It's great documentary. Check it out. I'm into documentaries lately. I know you are too, so figure you'd like it.
I don't have the time that you have. It's stunning that you have time to find them.
I have no time. I do it at night when everyone's sleeping.
Yeah.
I watch 1 hour of TV every day. That's it. Because I can't go to sleep at night, Chris, if I don't do that. I got to get bodybuilding off my brain, or I can't sleep.
Yeah. No.
you know? So I watch something that distracts me. The
You ever
worst
hear
thing you
this
guys
product-
can
You ever
do.
hear this product called Somalize?
Yeah, believe me, I use that too. As I'm watching TV, I take my Somalize, and then as soon as it starts hitting me, I go into bed. But no, seriously, a lot of people have trouble sleeping, Chris, and a lot of bodybuilders too, especially if you're taking like Trenbolone and stuff like that. But the worst thing you can do is be laying in bed with your phone watching bodybuilding stuff. If you're into bodybuilding, it will wire your brain up. You cannot fall asleep and relax if you do that. You have to, no phone in bed. And I tell people no TV in bed. My wife likes to watch TV in bed. No TV in bed. The bed is to sleep. It's not to watch TV. Because if you watch TV in bed, when you lay in bed, your body's going to think, oh, it's TV time. Bed should be sleeping. If you want to watch TV, you sit on the couch and watch TV or whatever. If you want to do your phone, you do your phone someplace else. You don't do your phone in bed. And you don't go from your phone looking at bodybuilding stuff to getting into bed, because you're never going to turn your brain off. I'm telling you, you must distract yourself. It could be 10 minutes of something unrelated to bodybuilding, but you have to do that, because otherwise, I'm telling you, that's going to hurt your sleep. And I know a lot of people out there saying, holy mackerel, he's right, I can't fall asleep. I don't know why. It's because your brain is you can't get yourself all jived up on stuff that you're into. You have to almost do something distracting. And that's why I watch documentaries, because it's like, I'm not emotionally invested in these things. I just watch it because I find it interesting. But I could then go lay in my bed and fall right asleep. So that's
You got to put out, then on RX Muscle on your YouTube station, you should put out Dave Palumbo's best top 10 documentaries.
I
would like it, because then I'd know which one.
Yeah.
I would take your recommendation to, okay, I got to see this one first, this one second.
Every time I see one, I think it's the best one.
I know that's why I said it, because every time, you know why I said that? Because everyone say, you have to see this one. You have to see this one.
Right. Do you remember I was talking about Pele the other day, about the Pele documentary?
Yeah.
The soccer play. So my wife doesn't know anything about soccer, even though my kids play soccer. So my wife says to me, she's like, she's friends with this guy, Tim Maloney. He used to be a basketball coach out here. He coached at a high level in college too. And she's been friends with him and the wife for years. I think they were her teachers or something like that at one point, because they teach. And my wife's like, oh, do you know who's friends with Tim Maloney? Said he's friends with this really famous soccer player. I'm like thinking, who? She's like, some guy, Pele. I'm like, Pele? She's like, it's Pele. I'm like, whatever. I said, the Pele. She's like, yeah, he said he's like the best soccer player of all time or something like that. I don't know who he is. My wife doesn't know who Pele is. So I'm like, yeah, Pele is the greatest soccer player of all time. I said, despite what my son might think. My son thinks Ronaldo or Messi is the best soccer player of all time. But for my generation, it's Pele. So I said, he knows Pele? She's like, yeah. I said, I got to get the hookup. I got to talk to Pele. I said, can you imagine if we get Pele on the show? Interview Pele?
You know he passed away.
Oh, that's right. He did. Did he die?
Recently, right? Google it. Recently.
That's right.
I know his mom, who was like really old, died a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
You're right. You know what? I think we even talked about it on the show.
And then he passed.
82. He died at. He just died this year, like a couple months ago, in December. Yeah. And wow, that's crazy. I forgot that. We're not going to get him on the show.
Soccer was not big in in high schools. Let's say in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
And to promote soccer in the high schools, I think it was like the Soccer League for the United States, whatever, the NPC, IFBB of the US.
Right.
What was a current documentary of Pele around, and they played it in high schools around the country. And
oh, really?
And you could go see it on a Saturday for free. And I saw that Pele movie had to be 77. I was like 9 or 10 years old. And the auditorium, because kids had nothing to do then, on a Saturday, was packed. And we didn't know what was, they were going to have our documentary on this guy, Pele. And it was unbelievable.
Oh, it was good?
Oh, gosh. It was incredible.
I wonder if it's still around, that documentary that they did.
It has to be. It showed him like when he was a kid and growing up and like, you know, freaky, and it had a lot of great moments to it. But they sent that around to be able to build excitement for soccer,
right?
Because it was just like football and baseball back then in high school. There was no like soccer, and soccer was just getting started for high school athletes. And I can remember seeing the high school athletes, kids who played soccer, in that when it just started, like in New England in that day and age, in the early or mid '70s, they were like the athletes who tried out for football and couldn't make it.
Right.
And the irony, you know what I mean? So I mean, you could, as like an 8-year-old, recognize, oh, these aren't the good athletes.
Right.
But the transition, of course, was now it's like the best athletes, because soccer is extremely popular.
And money, a lot, especially internationally.
Right, I mean money too, but I mean, of course, the just the level of competition at like any high school in the United States compared to like 35 years ago.
Right. And I think soccer has even surpassed bodybuilding in the Middle East now, right? As the most popular sport.
Yeah, I think soccer's 1 and bodybuilding's like 28.
No, but they love bodybuilding in the Middle East. I'm saying, but soccer is way more important than bodybuilding, even. So that's
a little bit.
Tells you the level.
Yeah, when you build 8, 12 stadiums, all within 5 miles of each other.
Yeah. You know what? You know why soccer is so popular? Because you can play it anywhere. All you need is a ball. That's it.
Yep.
The ball. Yep. There's no other equipment necessary in soccer. A ball.
That's right.
So, I mean, it's the most grassroots, raw, just organic sport you can possibly play. Basketball seems like it would be, but you need a ball that bounces, and you need like cement, you need a hoop. You're already into equipment. Baseball, you need a bat, you need gloves. Soccer, a ball. That's it.
Yeah, I remember leaving the Arnold Brazil and driving on Sunday, super quiet one of the years, through along the beach, in I think Rio de Janeiro, and like every 200 yards there was kids playing soccer. It's like soccer pickup after soccer pickup game after soccer pickup game on a Sunday.
My son, we went to the park the other day, and my son, there was a little pickup soccer game there. There was a bunch of older kids, and 2 parents were playing, and they're like, my son, I'm like, go play, Logan. He's shy. I'm like, I'll walk him over. I'm like, can he play? They're like, oh yeah. He was killing those guys. He was playing so much harder than I said, if you played like this when you played in your games, you'd be the best. No one would touch you. I said, where did this come from? Because he was playing with older kids. He had to show off,
Oh! I thought it was like no rules, because like no officiating.
No, he was running faster than everyone.
Make mistakes, and the official's going to call him on a foul or something.
I've never seen him hustle so much in my life, like nonstop running, like never resting and being tired and losing enthusiasm.
He's like you. He's like you. If you were like 12 months into the gym and then Phil Heath came in and said, let's do a back workout, like, oh, I'm never giving up.
Yeah, that's 100% right. He needs motivation. That's well, we all need motivation, I guess, right? All right. Well, here, let's before we wrap this up, because like I said, it's Mother's Day here. I don't want to belliger this show too long. Given what we saw at the Olympia, given what you know about Hadi Choopan, even though he wasn't there, give me top 5 guys that we should really look out for at the Olympia. I don't need a placings or anything like that. I just want guys that you think are going to be, major players at the Olympia based on what you saw this past weekend.
Derek, Hadi, Samson, Nick. Derek, Samson, Hadi, Nick, and probably Andrew.
Okay, that's we didn't see Andrew here either too. But how is Andrew doing? Have you talked to him or not?
Yeah, he's doing the Texas. He's doing the Texas.
Oh, okay. When's that? What's the date of that show?
13 weeks or something. Like, he's big. He looks good.
How much have you seen significant improvements in his muscle mass?
I mean, he's like 298. He's in Yeah, he's big. You know, things happen when he poses. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
a lot of people, things don't happen. You know, Derek, things happen. Hadi Choopan, things happen.
Right.
I mean, Nick, things happen. Samson, things happen. Things have to happen when you hit the poses. I know that sounds like ridiculous, but some people in the Olympia have really good physiques. When they hit the shots, nothing really had. If that makes sense, nothing happens.
Yeah. Where is he? Is he out back in Dubai or is he still in California?
Yeah, he's in Dubai.
Okay. Does he plan on coming out here or what's the
I don't know.
game?
I think the nut job is going to go to Dubai.
Oh, look, is Chris Psycho Lewis? Wow.
I couldn't think of the nickname, so I thought nut job was close to Psycho.
Nut job is close to Psycho, yeah.
Chris
How
Nutjob.
is he going to do that? Who's going to run his gym when he's gone?
I don't know. But you know, Chris.
He's dedicated.
That's what I mean. You know, Chris, he's just like, you know.
It's so dedicated. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Right?
Yeah.
No one else would do that. You know
No.
what? I got a business. I don't care. I'm going to Dubai. I got to train this guy. He's the most important thing right now. That's the way it works. You know, I don't, without rehashing everything because we just don't have time, but the Pittsburgh has gotten really good in terms of competitors. They really have deep lineups. I was very impressed with Michael DeBull, who won the classic there. Did you see pictures of him?
Yeah, it was his best.
Yeah, he's good. I think he's going to be real dangerous. And there's a guy in the hold on this. I give credit where credit's due before we wrap up here. Ryan Terry made his comeback in men's physique, and he was beat. The guy who beat him, Corey Morris, is another freak that I'm so impressed with these guys that you don't expect to see that, you know, these crazy physiques on. I want your impression. You probably haven't seen pictures of them.
Dave, let me correct you. I saw one picture.
Oh, you did see the picture.
Listen, I saw one picture somehow of the men's physique, and I saw that one picture was of Corey. And the one picture, I didn't look at any of the other pictures because I thought this guy's going to win. So I'm just learning right now that he did win.
This guy has legs too. You look at his legs. You can see he's got legs. This guy would be an unbelievable open bodybuilder. Oh my God. Who does he remind you of? Look at those pecs.
For some reason, I was going to say Bonac because he's got the quads and he's not as short, but between a Bonac, a Samson, and an Andrew Jack,
he looks like Bonac and facially too. You're right. But I was thinking Samson, yeah, of the physique. I mean, crazy. Look at that width, pecs, delts, abs.
That's why I threw him Bonac. Bonac's got width from behind, you know.
Yeah, but this guy's not short. Super impressed. I want to give him his props, and I want to give props to hold on, Michael DeBull too, because he looked great.
Yeah, he looked big, hard.
We got a lot of new talent, good new talent coming up in this sport, Chris, and I think that the health of our sport is doing very well at this point. It's a great physique, great conditioning. I think people are almost really peaking towards doing this Pittsburgh show, even though it's not like the big show like the New York Pro or the Arnold. I think people are doing it because they want to showcase themselves in Pittsburgh in front of, you know, the Manions, in front of all the judges who go there, the Weinbergers and Sandy Rinaldi's or Sandy Williamsons, all the people who are going to be there judging them at the Olympia too, are same judges. And it's becoming like an important show to do if you really want to showcase yourself or make a name for yourself. And I think that that's great. I love the fact that we're having shows that people are taking very serious. I mean, Natalia Coelho did the show. She just won the Olympia. She didn't have to do the show, but she loves to compete. She might break the all-time Dexter Jackson record.
Maybe she's taking your advice about making the money, I guess.
I don't know how much money they're actually making in the women's physique, but you know,
you can't be losing money, meaning
No.
some upside to the.
He's unbelievable. I mean, I remember, and I don't know if you remember the first time we saw her, and you actually made a comment. She was in figure. She won the nationals, her weight class in figure, and she had striated quads. And we're like, oh boy, this girl should do bodybuilding or physique. And she didn't want to do it. You know, she was really young, I think, at the time. And eventually someone talked her into doing physique, and now she's Miss Olympia. So the rest is history. Crazy.
Yeah.
There's some talking about Brazilian genetics. There's some great Brazilian genetics right there.
She's got a. I don't see anyone touching her at the Olympia.
No, definitely not. The only person who I thought was going to be deadly was what's her name? Who retired? What's her name? See, you're out of the sport for a couple of years, and no one remembers your name anymore.
Yeah.
Who is that really, really pretty? Oh my God, I can't remember her name. Remember, she was really young, and then she just retired. She wanted to have a baby or something like that.
No.
Black girl. What's her name? She was battling it.
Huh?
She was battling it with what's her name? With Sarah Villegas.
Oh my God. Dave was. She was battling it with what's her name? You can't get either one of them, even though you know.
Old age, Chris.
You don't know her name, and you don't know the one she's battling it with.
No, it's called old age. What are you doing on this Mother's Day?
We're gonna go to the park, take the kids to the park, and tire them out, Dave. Get out and get some fresh air. Get some serotonin levels or some type of levels moving up.
Is everyone home?
Yes, my oldest is home from college, so everybody's in the house.
Wow.
Yeah. The prom was last night. My son went to the prom.
Wow. That must have been exciting. How old is he now?
He's 17. Yeah. He's
Crazy.
17. Yeah.
You must feel old when you see that. By the way, it just came to me. Shanique Grant. Sorry about that. Sorry, Shanique. I thought she was going to win 10 Olympias. You know, at one point, but she retired. 17. Yeah, you got to feel old. You know, I'm old, but I don't feel it because I got young kids. I don't have any. You have young kids, but you also have the older kids. You know,
I get young kids too. I get kids as young as
you. I know that, but you have kids that are in college now.
Yeah.
And one child that might even do the teen nationals in bodybuilding. That's got to be pretty crazy.
You want to laugh, Dave?
Yeah.
I went to pick up my 1994 Mercedes at the dealership.
I can't believe you're still fixing that thing.
And we went to look at used cars, me and my son, the other day. And so when I was picking up my car, I said, go over there and see if you can find anything used at the Mercedes dealership.
Yeah.
Anyways, make a long story short, he said, I found something. I said, oh, good, I'll get it for you. And he said, what? The money? I said, I can't even justify putting out money for college for two kids, which, you know, I'm not big on college education. So to me, I know it sounds totally negative. I think there's fields that are viable to go into. Just college doesn't guarantee you really anything, right? But it costs
unless you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. Right?
Yeah, or a lawyer, or maybe even an accountant. But you could learn accounting, and you know, there's other options other than that. It costs so much, and I have two in college. So I said, what's just wasting more money? Go pick out a car over there. At least I feel like good about getting the car as opposed to I don't even know what I'm getting for an education.
Chris, you are like the epitome of my father. Like, my father wouldn't spend a dime on himself, but he would spend it, like, he wouldn't waste it on my sister and I, but he would be like, you know what? A car is a good investment because this way I don't have to drive Dave back and forth to school, and I want him to be safe, and so I'm going to get him a nice car and I'll spend the money on the car. But he wouldn't do it on himself, you know. You're the same exact way.
He's going to have a better car than me. Mine is 29 years old.
Of course, because you're the quintessential martyr. You'll sacrifice yourself even though you don't have to, because you want your kids to have good things, you know.
Dave, I swear to God, I swear on my car that when I went to the dealership, they go like this. They're going through the papers. They're like, okay, you bought it here. God, did we lose the repair? You know, they keep a history.
Yeah.
Because it's been so few times that it's been okay. You did the brakes there, and there was a radiator 4 years ago. And where's all the, you know, I wonder where all the paperwork is. I said, that's the point. I said, I can get a new one, but I said, I've invested, I've put nothing into this one.
You know what? Here's the problem.
He says, you know, he said, we sell cars like 5 years ago that like they're in the shop every year, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you're going to drive a new car, you can't drive. That's why I always tell you, don't buy a used new car because they suck. They break. If you get a brand new car, like on a lease, in 3 years, you give it back. So that's when things start breaking, you know.
Well, Dave, when we went to look originally at the Subaru dealership for used cars, oh my, used, you test drive it and it's like, I can't even believe a hunk of junk, right? My son,
what's that? Buy a new car. Yeah, you have to buy a brand new car. You can't buy a used car.
So, you know, he didn't know about leases, and we started talking about leases. And I said, because, you know, the good thing about leases is just, you know, give it back to him when it's done. You're driving a new car all the time.
Yep.
As opposed to, you know, I bought one, and then 6 years later you bring it into the dealership and they say, well, you can fix that for $33,000.
I've been begging Chris to lease the car. I'm like, Chris, please lease the car. Pay through your business. Please.
Yeah.
You will not give that Mercedes up. It's like you have this love affair with this car that like you cannot let go of it.
I do. Listen, I told the repair guy too. I told at the dealership, I said, there is a sentimental value. I said, because I thought I was a big shot when I bought it 29 years ago.
At this point, you have to keep it now because it's like it's a as my father would say, it's a classic, you know.
Well, Dave, I swear, you bring it in and then people are like, wow, that's still running.
At this point, you might as well just restore it. You should repaint it. You should. You know how people get old cars and they make them look like crazy looking. They trick them out and everything. You should restore your car at this point and just keep it. It's you know, 39 years old, 29 years old already.
29, Dave.
All right. Well, everyone out there, hopefully you guys have a enjoyable Mother's Day planned or doing something, even if you're just staying home and relaxing. Congratulations to all the winners this past weekend. Just want to mention I helped one of my clients, Kyle Davis, will be doing junior nationals. He just won the NPC Illinois State overall men's title. Congratulations. He's a Sean Roden lookalike, this guy.
Oh yeah, you showed me his picture. Yeah, you did send me a picture. He has a Sean Roden lookalike.
Let me see if I can pull up his pictures. Give him a little love here.
Who would have been last place in that Pittsburgh guest posing, by the way.
All right. There he is. Hold on. All right. There's your prop. There's your excitement. Kyle Davis.
Yeah.
And
good condition, good flow, good shape.
Yeah, he's got really nice strong. He looks a lot like, not in this particular pose, but he looks a lot like Sean Roden. He's got like that flexitron, structure. But
yeah,
I think he can go pretty far in the sport if he wants to. And his head's in it, which it seems like it is. I see good things from him in the future. All right. Well, everyone else out there, I know a lot of people competed this past weekend. Congratulations. Hopefully you had a good experience. And once again, Jim Mannion, you did it again. Another classic, epic guest posing battle up there at Pittsburgh Pro. Next week is going to be New York Pro.
Yeah.
Sid will be there with Alone Powers covering the show for us in New York at the actually it's in New Jersey at the Teaneck Marriott. We have a good lineup. That Carlos Thomas Jr. pulled out. Did you see that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he pulled out of the show. He said he had,
why did he pull out?
I don't know, some kind of colitis issue he's got going on or something like that. And
didn't we just talk about? Listen, we were just talking about 20 minutes ago about like all the bizarre things we can get ready for a show, and then like you have to pull. Either you pull out,
yeah,
or
it sucks.
you can't look the way you look And a lot of times people online are critical of that, and they don't know what the athlete's going. It could be injury, could be got sick
Yeah.
3 weeks out, colitis.
Look, if you can't eat and you can't process your food, you
You're
can't
done.
look good, and that's there's nothing. I mean, look at Mike. It cost Mike Francois his whole career, So you got to really take care of that gut. You got to take your fiber products. You got to take your probiotics and stuff like that. And
speaking of guts, did you see Raphael did not make it to Pittsburgh?
Oh yeah, what happened with him?
Raphael got, you would know. What's it? Dengue? What's it?
Oh, you told me that dengue fever, right?
Dengue, yes.
See, that's the only drawback to not living in the United States. You get tropical diseases that don't exist here.
They have
hanging out in the Amazon rainforest.
Yeah, they have crazy mosquitoes.
Yeah, I know those
Terrorist mosquitoes.
Is it the Anopheles mosquito? I can't remember from medical school. What causes dengue fever?
I don't know. That's why I said, of all people, you would know. I said, Dave would know the mosquito. Dave would know the snake that eats that mosquito, and Dave would know the side effects of having that disease. Actually, give us, David, what is the synopsis, or what can we expect for Raphael going forward after having contracted this disease?
I don't even know. Bad fevers, bleeding from body parts. It lowers your platelets. That's what the problem is. It dramatically lowers the platelets. It's a nasty disease. You don't really want to get it.
Yeah. And how does it clear from the body? Do you have to take antibiotics?
Yeah, antibiotics.
Wait it out.
You got to
So
take antibiotics.
That was a big deal for him. He did. It's God. Talk about right. He had this. He got invited. And he was
it could be life threatening, Chris.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah. They got a vaccine for it.
And if you remember, Dave, when he qualified for the Olympia the first time, last year was his first Olympia, but the first time he qualified, he had severe COVID.
Yeah. He doesn't. He's not the luckiest guy in the world. That's for sure.
No.
The Aedes. I didn't know this. The Aedes aegypti mosquito spreads dengue viruses by biting people. These are the same mosquitoes, by the way, that spread. Remember the Zika virus they had years ago?
Yeah, of course, because I have the condos for rent in Miami, and the rentals went down like torpedoed for 4 months.
Yeah.
I think they used to spray the neighborhood.
It's the same mosquito carries both of these, dengue and Zika. So yeah, it's serious, and it's not something you recover from very quickly. So we send out our prayers to Rafa. Is he feeling better now?
No.
Oh, he's still out. Oh, shoot.
No. He's
far
from recovered.
Yeah, it's Lyme disease is another one that's terrible. It's debilitating.
Dude, Lyme is like a dime in Maine. The ticks.
But it's very serious. I mean, Lyme disease. You do not want to get, if you don't treat Lyme disease right away. If you treat it, you're fine. But if you don't know you have it and it develops, you're going to have a lot of long-term complications.
Yeah. There's so many ticks in Lyme disease in Maine, in Florida too, right? I thought you guys have a lot of Lyme disease now.
I think when the girl down the block got Lyme disease, I'm afraid. I hate the mosquitoes. I don't like bugs, and they love me. They love to bite my juicy ass. I don't know why.
You have thin skin, so it's easy for them. You have paper thin skin to penetrate that.
That's why I love the fact that we have, everyone in Florida has pool cages, and people don't know why they put these screened-in cages around their pool. So when you're swimming, you don't have to worry about the bugs attacking you.
Yeah.
But that hurricane that hit here blew my screen cage down. So I can't get, Chris, how many months has it been since the hurricane? I can't get anyone out here to fix my screen cage. There's so much construction out here. No one wants to work and do anything. They're like, I don't want to come do it. Is it a new construction? I'm like, no, I just need to fix it.
If you wanted to rebuild a $200,000 pool, they'd come out and rebuild the $200,000 pool. But if you want the screen, they're like too busy. You know what they're doing? They're building $200,000 pools.
It's 100% right, because they got a new house on every corner. There's a new house being built.
Yeah.
So,
and more to come. If you want to invest in Dave's neighborhood.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's wrap up the show. Enjoy your Mother's Day. I will send my prayers out to you that no more college tuitions coming this year.
Yeah.
Lesson learned: in Florida, they have Florida prepay. Prepay your kids'
Everything's
college
better in
tuition.
Florida. That's what I just said. Besides the weather as an attraction, it's the financial, leverage that you get.
Yeah.
You can
We
go
paid
to
all my
college.
kids' college. We're paid off.
Yeah. Crazy.
Prepaid it. It's way cheaper if you prepay it, and then if they don't use it, they'll give it back to you anyway. So it's not like you're going to lose it or anything like that.
Yeah.
I said as a joke, I said my kids will get into like the most expensive, like Ivy League colleges, and then I'll have to wind up paying for it anyway.
Yeah. So we're not going, but it's free. We're not taking it.
No, we're not taking the free. We're going to go to Harvard. We got into Harvard. Oh, you did? What's the tuition now? Oh, it's $1 million a year. Oh, yeah. Sure. I have $1 million laying around.
Yeah,
I can give you for 4 consecutive years. That's why people are not going to go to college anymore, Chris. It's too expensive. That's the sad part.
There's what? There's no for a lot of places. There's no return on that investment.
Right.
College
people are saying AI is going to take over all the jobs that you would be trained for in college. Learn how to fix a pipe, a sink, or fix electricity. No robots are going to be doing that in the future. I got news for you.
Are you using? I'm using AI for a lot of things.
No, I know you use it for contracts and stuff like that.
I'm using it for leases. I'm using it for people who are going to be on property, who aren't insured, to sign a release, which is, oh my God, that release is unbelievable.
Really? You see, anything legal, anything like that, those AI programs are great because they pull up everything that you don't even know they put into these contracts.
Yeah. I just sent Andrew Jack his diet based on all 100% AI. Give me the best.
Chris isn't writing diets anymore. The AI is writing it for him.
Give me the best.
Write a diet that Chris Aceto would write for contest prep.
Yeah, no, I need a diet that may be written better than Chris Aceto for a Nigerian 6'2" bodybuilder weighing 298 pounds with 40 weeks out from a show, and it spits it right out. I just pretend I create it and I send it.
Does the AI know the insulin protocol that Milos uses?
No, it falls under that, things that it can't regurgitate misinformation and dangerous information.
Oh, I love Milos.
I already tried the first thing. I said, give me Milos's perfect carb-up protocol.
Yeah. Let's get Milos on the show next week to talk about the guest posing.
Oh, yeah. Chris was right. Very dark. I was right there. 325. Dave, you're almost right. It's 334 pounds. I'm
texting him when we hang up. I got to get him on the show. I forgot. I wanted to get him on to talk about it. We should have had him on, but Chris and I are recording this really early Sunday morning because of Mother's Day. All right. For the 8th time, I'm going to wrap the show up. As we say every week here at Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.